was expected to sacrifice for my sister my whole life while my mother watched. Now she's learning the consequences. I spent my entire childhood taking care of my younger sister Blythe. She was born when I was 7, and from that moment on, my life revolved around her needs. My mother decided I was old enough to help, and helping quickly turned into doing everything. I fed Blythe when my mother was tired. I changed her when my mother was busy. I woke up with her at night when my mother wanted to sleep. By the time I was 10, I was basically raising a toddler while still being a child myself. My mother told everyone how responsible I was. She never mentioned that I didn't have a choice. Growing up, Blythe never learned to do anything for herself because I did it all. I made her breakfast before school. I helped with her homework every night. I drove her to activities when I got my license. I covered for her when she got in trouble. My mother praised me for being such a good sister while Blythe learned that someone would always clean up her messes. When I left for college at 18, my mother cried and asked how they would survive without me. I told her Blythe was 11 and could start learning basic responsibilities. My mother laughed like I made a joke. She called me 3 times a week that first semester asking for advice on how to handle things I used to do automatically. I spent my college years feeling guilty for not being home. When I graduated and got a job in a city 2 hours away, my mother said I was abandoning the family. I moved anyway because I needed to finally live my own life. For 5 years, I built something real. I worked my way up at a marketing firm. I got promoted twice. I bought a small condo. I made friends who liked me for me and not for what I could do for them. I dated someone who treated me as an equal. I finally understood what it felt like to exist without being responsible for another person's entire life. Then my mother called with news that changed everything. She was sick, not dying, but sick enough that she couldn't work full-time anymore. She needed help around the house. She needed someone to manage her appointments and medications. She needed support, and Blythe was useless. My sister was 23 years old and had never held a job for more than 6 months. She lived at home rent-free and spent her days sleeping until noon and going out with friends until midnight. She didn't cook or clean or contribute anything. When my mother got sick, Blythe didn't step up. She complained that the situation was stressful for her. She said she couldn't handle seeing our mother unwell. She said someone needed to do something, but that someone was never going to be her. My mother asked me to move back home. She said Blythe couldn't manage and they needed me. I said no. I told her I had a life and a job and responsibilities of my own. I told her Blythe was an adult who needed to finally grow up. I told her I spent my entire childhood being a caretaker and I wasn't doing it again. My mother cried. She said I was being selfish. She said this was different because she was actually sick. She said Blythe wasn't capable of handling this kind of pressure. I asked whose fault that was. She hung up on me. For the next 3 months, my mother called constantly. She left voicemails about how hard things were. She sent texts about appointments Blythe forgot to schedule. She told relatives I refused to help, and suddenly I was getting calls from aunts and uncles saying I should be ashamed. My cousin told me my mother might not have much time left, and I would regret not being there. I felt the guilt pressing down on me like it always had, so I compromised. I told my mother I would visit every other weekend to help with big tasks, but I wasn't moving home. I would manage her appointments remotely and make sure her medications were organized. I would do what I could from a distance, but Blythe had to start contributing. My mother agreed. Blythe didn't contribute. Every time I visited, the house was a mess. Blythe was either gone or asleep. My mother made excuses for her constantly. She said Blythe was sensitive. She said Blythe was struggling emotionally. She said Blythe just wasn't built for this kind of thing. Meanwhile, I was driving 4 hours round trip every other weekend while working full-time and managing my own life. I did this for 8 months before I snapped. Full story on channel, link below.